Let's do it. Welcome back to the gospel. It is your fantasy football show of the week. We can't wait to get into it. There are a lot of things that have happened over the past week that will affect fantasy one way or the other. Maybe a little, maybe a lot, but there will be an effect. We'll go over all of that. Your injuries, news, and notes, pivots that we need to make. I am your host, Zay, the fantasy football fiend, and I have my guy, young Vander, the fantasy Nostradamus. Holla at the people.
What's going on out there?
All right, so let's just go ahead and hop right on into it. We'll start off with your quarterbacks. Let's see who is on the injury report for the week. Lamar Jackson listed with a pair of minor injuries. No need to panic. He'll be fine going into the week. Will Levis was limited in practice. He had that shoulder injury that has kept him out. Mason Rudolph has been the man the last couple of weeks. They haven't won with Rudolph, but he's looked to be the more competent guy. Do you think that if Levis is ready to go, it's his team again, or do they stick with Rudolph?
I do believe Rudolph is playing better ball. But also think that with the investment piece, that Levis will probably be the guy once he get back. I mean, this is the younger guy. They had the higher draft pick invested. Rudolph was, he signed there. So
Right.
I think once healthy, he'll be the guy. But with their season, if they're not contending for the playoffs, then they probably let Levis rock out. You know what I'm saying? I think if they was trying to win, then they'll probably go with the better quarterback.
They contending for the number one overall pick. To be honest with you, at this point,
Yeah, so
I think they're in a three-way tie for the number two pick right now, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But it's not looking very good. So,
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, no injury designation, and that's great because he has the early game. He will be playing on Thursday evening, so he should be good to go. Jordan Love is a realistic chance of playing week 9, but we know he had that groin injury that kept him out a part of the game on week 8. I what's your opinion on this? Not necessarily from the fantasy lens, but for me, there are a lot of games coming up after their bye that are going to put them in position as far as the playoffs are concerned. I don't know that I would put him out there this week and risk re-injuring him when there's a bye coming up for him next week.
Right.
And he didn't play after he suffered that groin injury. Groin injuries can be kind of tricky. And I don't know that even with him, they're going to take out Detroit. I don't know. I would err on the side of caution as far as this one is concerned in real NFL. But how do you feel about this situation? And are you going to start him even if he starts with the high risk of that groin being re-aggravated and him going back to the sideline?
Well, I think they're making a mistake. Being that their bye week is the following week, go ahead and take the additional time off. Malik Willis has proven that they can win with him. Right? He's undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't lose any games with him starting the quarterback. So I don't understand, what they got going on. I think this is going to be one of those limited practices. I think he's going to sit anyway. I think when the Sunday comes, he's probably going to sit. I think just the athlete of him, the fighter, he wants to be out there with the guys. But I think, the best decision is let the guy sit for the week. Take the additional week off and then come back, a lot more healthy. As far as fantasy goes, I wouldn't be as confident playing him because, with that type of injury, okay, first series, he could be pulled out. You know what I'm saying? But I think most people probably going to be in position where they probably don't have no choice. Now, if you do have maybe a Jameis Winston, you have a guy like that on your bench that you can play in spite of, I probably would go that route just to be on the safe side.
Might have a Winston, might have a Flacco.
Yeah, those type of guys for sure. So I may well go that route just to be on the safe side.
Agreed. And this might be just a little bit of gamesmanship so that Detroit is preparing for Jordan Love, because the brand of ball that they play with Willis is quite different than what they play with Love. So it would kind of catch them off guard, and maybe they can kind of sneak one in. But yeah, I completely concur with you. I wouldn't risk injury for several weeks when you can leave him out for an additional week and he should be fine. Jayden Daniels limited in practice, which is to be expected, but he's going to go. He went all last game with the same rib injury. It didn't get any better, any worse, whatever you want to call it. But I don't see any issues there. Derek Carr got in a limited practice. They're indicating that he should be ready to go this Sunday, returning from his oblique injury. So great news there. Jared Goff is dealing with a sore ankle, but he's indicating that it's minor, so he shouldn't have any issues as far as going up against Green Bay this week. Bryce Young has been named the starter for Week 9, and Carolina is basically saying, barring injury, they're thinking about starting him for the rest of the year, which only makes sense to me because, I mean, Dalton isn't your future. Your worst case scenario with Young is he shows a little bit of improvement, and at least you can, if you do choose to go your separate ways, you can trade him to someone else. I heard that Miami might be looking for a guy that to be Tua's backup. Then that was kind of out there a little bit, but I don't see anything that you gain by playing Andy Dalton. You need as high a draft picks as possible to fix this team. So, I mean, if he is the worst quarterback and he's the younger quarterback, that's two reasons why you should start him based on the situation that Carolina is in, humble opinion. Do you feel the same, or are you looking at it a little different?
No, I think you got to see what you got fully. And maybe, sitting him down, let him get his thoughts together, let him see a Dalton play, and then getting his opportunity to come back. Maybe this is a redemption, right? So at the same time, like you're saying, he's also auditioning for the other 30 some odd teams. So it's go both ways. So you kind of can kill two birds with one stone. If he does play well, but you're still losing games, then he may become even more of an attraction. If he doesn't play well, and you're going to lose games, you know what you got, and you know you need to go elsewhere. So you kind of get to see what you got moving forward. But I think it's right for them to let him play the rest of the season out. That benching was more like a little punishment, and then maybe let him get his head together, and now maybe he can finish out the season strong.
Yeah, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
We talk about Flacco. Man, look, I say this all the time, and I really, truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. Forget the picks. Trade the picks for proven players. Another top fantasy dynasty draft pick, Anthony Richardson, is benched. A waste of a first-round draft pick because 9 times out of 10, his best situation is going to be something in the neighborhood of what Justin Fields is going through right now. Another high draft pick that isn't doing very much for you. So just throwing it out there. But Joe Flacco is going to be the starter going forward for the Colts. I heard a stat saying that per the numbers with Flacco behind the helm, they're about 64% likely to make the playoffs. With Richardson, they're somewhere around 44% to make the playoffs. He has one of the lowest completion percentages ever. The lowest of over the last 20 years. Right now, he's looking worse than Jamarcus Russell. Here's the thing, though. The Colts knew when they brought him in that he was going to be a project. He hadn't played very many college games due to injury. He's been injured a couple times in the pros. We got a glimpse and thought he was going to go to the moon. Fizzled out really quickly. He was a bottle rocket that made it a few feet into the sky. So I don't know what you do with Anthony Richardson at this point, real world NFL or fantasy. Do you think it would be possible with your dynasty lens in mind Is he at all tradable at this point? Do you just hold on to him until he literally fizzles out? Like, what are we doing with Richardson?
Well, for one, myself in the offseason in the Dynasty League that we in, I traded him with the first round pick to get Jamar Chase. So now I'm looking like the genius, right? Because I kind of seen this thing coming. Is he still tradable? I think so, because the name itself. Flacco is an older quarterback. He won't be there. They're going to return back to Richardson, I'm sure, next year. He's going to have an off season. They're going to fire him back up again next year. But yeah, I think the namesake will get you a draft pick. And to be honest with you, if you have some guys in your league that has maybe Aaron Rodgers, or they have a Sam Darnold, they have maybe an older quarterback, or maybe they have a Tua, right? This is the person that's probably going to be your target, where you can hit them up and maybe get one of their draft picks to get the younger Richardson. So he's still going to be attractive, I think, just because he lost his job. You know, this the idea of a combo quarterback. Everybody loves the quarterback that can run, right? So I think that he'll still attract some. I don't know what kind of draft capital you may get, but I think you can still move him for a pick very easily.
Now, you're basically the NFL almanac. So I'm going to ask you this. In an audience, I apologize if there's a little bit of silence because I'm putting Vander on the spot here. But can you think of a guy who was a first-round pick at quarterback that got benched?
Sam Darnold.
And then, okay, so Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Anybody else you could think of that got benched and then came back to do something?
Well, maybe even like a Baker Mayfield, right? I mean, there's been some redemption in this league. We speak about all the time. Look at Geno Smith, right? Geno was done, right? Geno and Sam Darnold were done.
I guess the difference is, though, with those players that you named, they had a bad team. So I couldn't put the blame on them.
This is a bad team, though, right?
Richardson got weapons. Like the Colts aren't a bad team. He was supposed to be like Michael Pittman isn't a bad wide receiver. Put it like this. How is the team bad when he's at the helm, but the team's a winner when Flacco is?
Again, growing pains. I think the same thing with Sam Darnold has CMC in Carolina, right?
He didn't have no receivers.
I can't recall who Sam Darnold was throwing to, because the Jets, they change out so much. Who Geno was throwing to.
Buddy retired. I'm trying to remember what his name was, but he didn't
have so many guys over the years. I mean, I know all the guys. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. I want the years to align, but I think he's going to have to get with a guy that can fix him. He's young. He's 22 years old. He's raw. He's been raw. He was raw when he came out of school.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why everybody's like an uproar. Like, he's no different than a Joe Milton.
Okay.
I mean, they're the same player, right? Raw, big, all these nice attributes, but not quite ready to be on the field. Joe Milton is not ready to be on the field right now, I don't think. Right? So I think it's.
But the biggest difference is one guy was picked with the number 4 overall pick, and the other guy was like, what, 6? Was he even drafted?
He was drafted later, but you're right. I get it. One was a lottery, and one wasn't. And the funny thing about it, I think Joe Milton probably had a better college career than Richardson. That's
because he was healthy. He was actually there.
So, but I mean, a lot of these combines, pro days, people take that and they run you up the board. You know what I mean? So I think I'm not saying his career is over, but he's going to get with somebody that's going to know how to unlock his gifts and make it translate to the field. So I think he has an opportunity. It may not be with this particular coach, but if you get him with a McVay, you get him with a Shanahan, you get him with one of these quarterback, Andy Reid, right? He could very well go back up Mahomes.
Okay.
Because right now they got Carson.
Honestly, that wouldn't
Right
be a
now they
bad
got Carson
idea.
Wentz.
Learn the game with a good. Matter of fact, you know what?
That's a great spot.
Actually, for me, the best spot would be to back up Jalen Hurts because they don't have to switch up their offense. You'd be learning exactly what you would do if you had to step in. And I think Kellen Moore being the OC would be able
What
to
hell? Where do you think he's at?
say again.
Where do you think he at? Where did that guy come from? The coach he got.
You talking about Kellen Moore?
No, I'm talking about the coaching and the coach. He came from where? Philly.
Oh well.
So, trying to be behind Jalen Hurts may not be the answer, just because. And that's why I think people always get mixed up in the game. Just because you're able to run and you're a running style quarterback, don't mean you have to be in some running type offense.
Maybe he goes and back up Josh Allen.
Maybe so, but I think he should be somewhere where he knows he's probably not going to play right off. They may not need him, and just and kind of groom him, and maybe 3 years from now he's ready to go. Agreed. So that's what I'm saying. A team they already have a stationary quarterback.
And maybe even the coach say, okay, we knew it was a project coming in, and we should take the Jordan Love route, give him a few years to learn the game.
But who's going to be a quarterback then?
But that's what I was going to say. If you give Flacco the helm for a couple of years, maybe you bring in another stopgap quarterback to give him enough time. The great thing about it is when you re-sign him, you'll be re-signing him after he was a backup, not after he was a star. So you'd actually be able to get him when he knows the game on the cheap. So it's just a couple of different ways to look at it from a GM perspective of what you may or may not want to do there. But let's move on over to running backs. Jerome Ford got an unlimited practice. You know, he was dealing with that hamstring injury, so he may be ready to go this week. If so, it'll be Ford and Chubb in that backfield together there for Cleveland. Zamir White limited by a quad injury. Tajay Spears limited on Wednesday with a hamstring. He didn't go last week. We'll see how that goes. Hamstrings can be pretty tricky. Antonio Gibson limited by a toe injury. Again, another one of those tricky things that can flare up out of nowhere. Tony Pollard missed practice with a foot injury. So right now, Tennessee, their running game is up in the air. Their passing game is up in the air. It's just a mess right now in Tennessee. They may have backups all the way around. Their only starting skill player may be Ridley this week, Calvin Ridley. So we'll kind of have to see how that goes. Travis Etienne limited in practice. He was dealing with a hamstring injury. They're indicating that he may be able to go this week. Rico Dowell, he had an illness, but he should be ready to go for week 9. Tank Bigsby limited with an ankle issue. It's not a high ankle sprain, and he's pretty much the only running back in town right now. I would expect for him to be able to go. Alvin Kamara dealing with a hand and rib injury. Both of those injuries are things that he's been dealing with for multiple weeks now. So I don't believe that he will be in limbo as far as week 9 is concerned. Brian Robinson Jr. listed with a hamstring injury. He was able to get in a limited practice on Wednesday. We'll have to see how that goes. He has missed a game already this season. Tyrone Tracy Jr., the Giants rookie, he is deemed a non-participant in practice, still trying to go through concussion protocol. His coach indicated that he was in the beginning stages of concussion protocol. It being Wednesday and still being in the beginning stages kind of puts his Sunday in jeopardy. We'll have to stay abreast to his progression, see how that goes. Josh Jacobs says he's going to play, although he was dealing with an ankle injury there. And I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but Detroit, although overall they have a good defense, they have been giving up quite a bit of yards as far as the running game is concerned. So Josh Jacobs is going to be vital, especially if Jordan Love doesn't go. But that also plays into the favor of Willis, which he's much more likely to run the ball from the quarterback position than Jordan Love would be. So another thing to look at. This guy, there's a couple of things that I'm looking at as far as this is concerned. Jonathan Brooks, he turned in a full practice, so it's looking like he's probably going to be off of IR and ready to rock for this week. The Panthers also indicated that Miles Sanders is on the block for a running back needy team. Maybe they send him up the road to Tennessee. Who knows how that works out? But what is your prognosis for Jonathan Brooks rest of the season? Cuba Hubbard has performed above expectation. What are we looking at as far as Brooks is concerned? Are they going to see what they have in him? Or are they going to keep the hot hand with Hubbard?
No, I think he'll definitely get an opportunity, but it's going to probably be like a 4-week ramp up. So I wouldn't look for him to go in there and just command the offense right away. I think they're gonna work him in. And usually this thing's like a 4-week thing, so maybe he'll get 2 to 4 carries Sunday. Next Sunday, 3 to 6, 4 to 8, and then by week 4, it could be a 60-40 split. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how he's performing with those as they're ramping them up. So their schedule looks kind of favorable down the line as far as the run, if I'm not mistaken. But injury can happen at any time, right? So if Hubbard does go down, his ramp up can turn into he's the starter.
Yeah.
But that's what you're probably gonna be banking on. I think as long as Hubbard is healthy, he's still gonna probably be the guy.
DJ Chark got into limited practice. The Los Angeles Chargers are having issues at wide receiver. Chark has been out for a minute dealing with the groin injury. Ladd McConkey, he had a limited practice. He's dealing with the hip. Tyler Lockett is tending to a new health concern. He has an oblique injury. We know those oblique injuries can kind of put you on the side for a little bit of time. And we've seen quarterbacks, we've seen running backs, actually running back on his own team being Kenneth Walker. We've seen several different several different instances where an oblique was to sideline a guy, but he's dealing with that. Quentin Johnston, he got into limited practice. He was dealing with an ankle injury. Deontay Johnson, he's not on the injury report, and he was traded to Baltimore. It feels like he could be Baltimore's number one receiver. He and Zay Flowers are quite a bit alike as far as skill set is concerned, but he's been doing it a little bit longer, and I think he's polished it a little bit more than Flowers has been able to at this point. What's the prognosis as far as Baltimore's pass game going forward? Does Johnson come in and take over the number one wide receiver spot? Who does it hurt? Who does it help? What are we looking at as far as Baltimore's concerned?
I think this trade actually hurts everyone except for Lamar Jackson. I think he's the only person that benefits from this thing. I think everybody taking a step down. So if you had Flowers as a wide receiver 2, he's now a wide receiver 3. I think that Andrews go from a tight end 2 to tight end bottom 2, high 3. I think everybody's taking Rashad Bateman. He probably was a wide receiver 4 or 5 for you. Now he's a 5 or 6 for you. I just think everybody takes a dip. Nobody benefits from this thing but the quarterback, because there's another mouth to feed. And as a guy who also was one of those guys that be screaming for the ball, Deontay and all his stops, he's been – and this isn't the ideal team for him. I know he wanted to get out of Carolina, but if you're the type of quarterback that you want to command targets, you didn't went to the right spot, because Lamar is not one of those guys that's going to throw to the same guy 12 times, 15 times. And when they throw the ball, it's not the prototype of passes. You know what I mean? You know how Raven games look. So I think it hurts everyone, except the quarterback. The only person benefits from is two people benefit from this trade: Lamar Jackson and Xavier Legette. But now he takes a bump up in Carolina. So those are the only two people that benefited from this trade.
Just a couple of tight ends to talk about before we hop into rapid fire. Then, first up, TJ Hawkinson is en route back. It looks like he's going to be able to go this week. He had a full practice on Wednesday.
Okay.
So we may be good to go with TJ Hawkinson. Are you firing him up week one, or do you want to give him a week or two to acclimate? What are we doing with TJ?
Now, I'm going to say this is another one of those 4-week ramp ups again, maybe 2 to 3 for him. I don't think you fire him up right away. I have him in a dynasty league. Currently, I have Dalton Schultz starting. I'm going to let Dalton Schultz start, you know what I mean, until I can see how Hawkinson is. I'm not sure he's going to have a full because, I mean, the full complement. He might have a full complement of snaps. He still has to get some chemistry with the quarterback, Sam Darnold.
Right.
So I will wait, but he's probably going to be a fantasy winner when it comes down the stretch. I think that's where you're going to really get the bang for your buck when it comes to TJ going towards the playoffs. But I would say in these next 2 to 3 weeks, I would want to do more monitoring until I can figure out where his place lies in his offense.
And just a couple of updates as far as injury is concerned at tight end. Hayden Hurst, Los Angeles Chargers tight end, he practiced in limited fashion coming back from a groin injury. Will Dissly did not practice, dealing with the shoulder injury. Noah Fant, Seattle tight end, dealing with the groin issue as well. And Jawan Johnson remains limited, dealing with a shoulder injury. The biggest, I guess, pain to fantasy owners right now, Dallas Goedert was the number one tight end when he went out. He's still dealing with a hamstring injury, is not practicing, so his week is already in peril. He's been out for the last few weeks. That's pretty much all we got there as far as tight end is concerned. So let's go ahead and hop into Rapid Fire 10.
Let's get right into it, man. Rapid Fire 10. People don't know who do they start. All right, we're going with Jameis Winston or CJ Stroud.
I think I'm going to stay in the flames right now with Jameis Winston. We always known he was a gunslinger. It's just a matter of whether he throws himself out of the game with interceptions. But depending on whether you get the amount of points that you can get off for an interception, I almost think it's a no-brainer with Jameis Winston. He's just great for fantasy. He always has been.
So you have the confidence to bench him as far as CJ?
Yeah. It's not like he's been putting up major points the last few weeks, and he just lost Diggs. I mean, right now, Tank Dell is his number one wide receiver, and then he has Hutchinson and
we got Robert Woods still there as well.
Okay. I mean,
he may get some tick this week. All right, staying with the quarterback, we got Joe Flacco or Jameis Winston.
I'm gonna lean Flacco. Flacco has the better weapons.
Okay. We got Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne.
Oh, okay. Give me Bigsby. He's been there. He's going to be the goal line guy. It feels almost as if the coaching staff is attempting to move his direction, even if Etienne is healthy. So until Etienne can give us a few healthy weeks, I'm gonna ride the hot hand with Bigsby.
We got Nick Chubb or Alexander Madison.
Nick Chubb.
He got the Chargers now. Then he had a pretty good run defense.
I know. I don't feel good about it, but I just read something earlier today where they're indicating that Madison and White are going to be splitting up the load even more. than they were before, and that's more carries going towards White's favor. So it's okay. Let me put it this way: if Ford doesn't go, it's very easy for me to go with Nick Chubb. If Ford goes, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, because both of them have the same problem. So I would still go with the guy that's more likely to get a touchdown, which is Chubb.
Okay, we got Rashad White or Cuba Hubbard.
Cuba Hubbard. There aren't but a couple of running backs in the league right now that have gotten more yards than Cuba Hubbard. So give me Cuba Hubbard. I'm gonna ride that hot hand until the wheels fall off.
We got Zay Flowers or Deontay Johnson.
Just this week, Flowers. For
Okay.
Johnson to be able to kind of acclimate a little bit going forward, Johnson. But this week, Flowers.
We got Devonta Adams or Joshua Downs.
That's a crazy question, but I definitely understand it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to actually go with Downs. Adams has been averaging around 3 to 4 targets, only about 30 yards a game. It's a short week for the Jets. I'm going to go with Downs.
All right, we got Mark Andrews or TJ Hawkinson.
Andrews. Give me Andrews.
Okay. Another tight end question. Sam Laporta or Tucker Kraft.
Kraft.
Yeah.
Does Love play, or if Willis plays, then I wouldn't go Kraft's direction.
Okay.
If Love goes, then I'm gonna go with Kraft. So that I would determine that based on the injury report on Sunday, to be honest with you.
Okay, we got Tank Dell or Jaden Reed.
I'm still going with the injury report. I don't trust Willis to be a passer. But Tank Dell is the only wide receiver in town. So if the Texans are going to have any shot, but wait a minute though. The Texans play Thursday, don't they? Don't they go against the Jets? I want to say they go against the Jets Thursday, so you won't have the opportunity to wait and see.
That's what I need to know.
That sucks. Give me Tank. I'm gonna roll with Tank.
Okay, last but not least, we got Cedric Tillman or Chase Brown.
If we're in a PPR, I may actually go Tillman's way because I think he'll have the higher floor. If we're in a standard, I'd always go, if we're talking 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, in the standard, I would always go to running back's direction.
All right, so that concludes our rapid fire.
Rapid fire 10. All right. So let's go ahead and hop into your questions for the week. We have some dynasty questions. We have some starter sit. We have some either or. Let's figure out what we got going. First up, Mahomes versus Tampa Bay or Cousins at Dallas?
I'm going with Mahomes.
Okay.
I mean, do I really have to explain it?
I mean, I actually understand the question because Mahomes, although Kansas City is undefeated, he hadn't been one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy this year. Right. So I understand the question coming off of Cousins putting up the numbers that he did. So I get where they're coming from, but you know.
But I mean, as far as the guys against the pass, I would say, hold on. Yeah, Tampa Bay is like the worst in the league against the pass. So why wouldn't I go with the best quarterback in the league against the worst secondary in the league? As far as fantasy is concerned, they give the most points to the quarterback position.
Agreed. Makes sense. Okay, I got J.K. Dobbins and gave up DeAndre Hopkins. It feels like it was an easy decision. Did I win or did I lose?
I think you won. I
I
think you
agree,
won. Yeah, I
especially
think you
in
won.
the running back.
But this comes with a disclaimer. You might want to get Kamani Vidal because JK can go at any time. And that slipper could come off Cinderella anytime. So I think you want to be on the safe side. I would try to get that handcuff in Vidal and make sure I'm secured because if he goes down, then you pretty much lost him for nothing.
Kincaid or Otten this week?
I got to go with Otten. He's the guy, right? The weapons are down. Baker Mayfield is looking for this guy. I mean, he's targeting him, especially down towards the red zone. He's looking for him. So I actually like Otten. He's probably one of my favorite tight ends, like, period, at this point, as far as the circumstance. With Mike Evans not playing, with Godwin not playing, he's the guy. He's truly the number one in that offense. So I'm going to go with him.
Sit one. I need 3 wide receivers.
All right.
Flowers, Tillman, Downs, Worthy. Sit one.
I would want to sit Worthy
Agreed.
because he is truly lightning in a bottle. He can give you one catch for 18 yards, or he can give you 2 catches for 180. You know what I'm saying? He's like one of them dudes. Like, I used to look at Deshaun Jackson back in the day. Is boom or bust. Either he's gonna have 100 some odd yards and a touchdown, or he's gonna have 21 yards receiving it, and that's it. So I'm for consistency. Even though they're playing against the worst secondary, I may have to sit Worthy.
This one, I'm thinking maybe you're a little newer to fantasy, maybe. But we'll definitely, give you advice. We love the people that are new to fantasy. For the veterans out there, don't scoff at the questions, okay? I would be getting Schultz and Pirine. I'd be giving up
I don't like this already. I don't even got to hear who's coming back. I don't even like who you getting. No, don't do that. 2 is not always better than 1, right? People always tell you 2 is better than 1, not 2 life sentences. You know what I'm saying? So
this, I feel like
not,
this is a knee-jerk reaction to Bowers having a down week and the Texans pass catchers getting injured.
Yeah.
Don't. How would I say this? The best guy is the best guy. Pirine is nothing.
Yeah.
So really, this is Schultz for Bowers. Bowers is and has been better.
You said Flowers.
No.
Bowers?
Brock Bowers.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Oh, so he will be giving up Bowers.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, don't.
Hard pass.
Yeah, don't make your league upset, brother.
All right, this is a defensive question. Do I roll with the Texans defense or the Chiefs defense? Chiefs going up against Tampa Bay, Texans going up against the Jets.
I'm taking the Chiefs. They're playing outstanding right now. They're the best teammate in the league against the run. They haven't been giving up nothing on the ground, like 0. Secondary pretty good. Yeah, this is quick. Give me the Chiefs. I'm actually playing the Chiefs this week myself. So yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs all day. Easily.
Let's see here. Okay, Dynasty League question. Do I take a first-round draft pick for Derrick Henry?
What's the? Well, I will ask what the record is. Is this first round pick going to be at the top, in the middle, or at the back? I know Derrick Henry's getting up there in age. If you in the,
I'm
if you're,
assuming, based on the fact that they're asking this
they must
question,
be rebuilding.
they can't be in win now mode. They
Yeah,
can't.
they're trying to rebuild. And the funny thing about it, the person they probably trading with is trying to win now.
It's trying to win now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why not? Take the pick. If you're trying to build your team,
you can't get much more than that for him. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's probably at his height right now. So yeah, I would take the pick.
All right, we got Garrett Wilson and McMillan from Tampa Bay. They will be trading those two guys. They would be getting Mostert, Calvin Ridley, and DK Metcalf. Which side you prefer?
I'm taking the DK side.
I think I am too. I don't even know who Wilson's quarterback is going to be in a year, to be honest with you. In DK and Wilson are pretty close as far as ranking is concerned going forward, in my humble opinion. Going into the year, I would have said that Wilson is probably ranked quite a bit higher, but we just haven't seen it. And the quarterback position may get worse where he is before it gets better. He may have a whole nother offense to learn. We just don't know what's going to happen with him. And then also we've seen that if you throw Calvin Ridley the ball, he'll catch it. They just need to keep throwing on the ball. So, yeah, I think I take that side of the trade there. All right. 5-man keeper. I'm keeping Bijan, Brees, Gibbs, Puka, St. Brown.
Damn.
I'm 5-3 and feel like I'm a quarterback away from making a run. The Lamar owner is tanking and wants a first and a second round pick. Do I send the first and second round pick for Lamar?
Hell yeah. Because I mean, if you need
wait, hold up though. Let me add this in because I just seen the post of his team. He has Sam Darnold at quarterback. I don't know if that changes your mind at all, but he has Sam Darnold currently at quarterback.
Is this a one quarterback league? Is that why I have to know if it's a one quarterback league or is it flex?
I don't see super flex. I see a flex spot and then I see a defense. So I'm assuming it's not super flex.
Okay. And he's trying to win now.
He's in win now, and it's a keeper league. But here's the thing that I'm noticing, right? It's a 5-man keeper, but he's already decided, even if he gives up that first and second round pick, he won't be keeping Jackson. He's keeping Bijan, Brees, Gibbs, Puka, and St. Brown. Those are his 5. So if he gives up that first and second round pick, he's giving it up just for this year. So basically, he's asking, should I give up a first and second round pick to attempt to go for the championship this year? Is basically what he's saying.
No.
I don't see the difference in points between Darnold and Jackson being so much that you give up a first and second round pick and you're not going to keep either one of them. Like I just
so you're just wasting your draft pick just because. No, I wouldn't do that.
And with it being a 1 QB league, I see why he would keep the people that he's keeping versus keeping a quarterback too.
Right.
I would say draft a quarterback with that first overall pick and hope for the best.
Absolutely.
We got 2 more questions. Who wins the trade? I have Downs. He has Tillman.
Who's better, Prince or Michael Jackson? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I mean, they both are fair. This is honestly, this is about as close as you can get.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is Honda and Toyota. Which is the better car, right?
You know what? I'll tell you what the tiebreaker is for me.
The strength of schedule is going to be the tiebreaker.
Nah, I think the tiebreaker is competition on the team. Downs, you got Pittman, and you got Alec Pierce, and you got JT out the backfield.
Yeah, but Flacco don't give a damn about no Pittman.
But no, what I'm saying is, with Tillman, who else you got?
Elijah Moore. They got Elijah Moore. They got Jerry Jeudy, and they got Nick Chubb in the backfield.
I don't care nothing about a Jerry Jeudy.
No. I mean, I get it, but if you look at how this is not Deshaun Watson quarterbacking now, we just seen Elijah Moore had 12 targets last week, caught 8 balls for like 80 something plus yards. So it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's not Elijah Moore. So it's a little different. Now,
so basically, it's flip a coin.
Absolutely. I mean, which car gonna last longer, a Toyota or a Honda? You could put 500,000 miles on both of them. You see what I'm saying? I just think it's going to be the strength of schedule moving forward is probably what you're going to end up going off of for me, because Flacco and Downs have a really good chemistry.
Yeah.
A really good chemistry. And as you can see, the backup usually throw to the backups, right?
Yeah.
So now that Winston is at helm, guess who's
so a lot of Moore and Tillman were same level as far as backups are concerned.
Right. So these are the guys he's throwing to in practice. So he has a lot more chemistry with them than he would have with an Amari Cooper, if that makes sense. So it's splitting hairs, really. Whoever got the easiest schedule, go with that person. I don't know right off the head, but go with that person.
Last question. I'm in a very tough league. 5 points will make the difference. Do I start Trevor Lawrence or Flacco?
Flacco.
It's easy for me. Flacco.
Yeah, they playing against Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean,
and they give up, even though I love Flores defensive, but they give up a good bit to the pass. And Brian Thomas Jr., he might not play this week.
No, he's not going to play this week.
So this dude has just lost his whole wide receiver room.
He got Evan Ingram. And if ETN goes, he got ETN out the backfield. That's about it.
He just lost his whole wide receiver room in a week. So
DFS play, Parker Washington.
Yeah.
Will be about free. And he definitely will be starting this week.
I'm playing Evan Ingram.
Is Gabe Davis still playing right now? I don't know.
He's hurt too.
He's hurt. Okay, well.
So he got hurt. Christian Kirk got hurt, and Brian Thomas Jr. got hurt. So, this is easy. I'm taking Flacco for sure.
And that about wraps it up for the fantasy show for this week. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, and we will be going over all things sports, making sure that you are in the know. Until then, we out. And remember, tell the truth, nothing but the truth.